Good morning, Minnesota DFLers, and welcome to the DFL Daily. Richard Carl, I'm here, chair of the Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party. Great to be with you each and every day at 10:45, giving you the message, the action, and the tools to be empowered in this moment. And happy primary week. So excited that we have finally arrived. Tomorrow is the primary election in Minnesota, where we're going to send Peggy Flanagan to the general election, Matt Little to the general election, Trina Swanson, and Ilhan Omar all to the general election. So thank you, thank you, thank you for the work that you've done. I got to tell you, we had a massive weekend of action on the doors. Saturday was the single largest door knock day for the Minnesota DFL in a day in August in the history of our party. We knocked more doors on Saturday in a single day in August than ever before in our party. Just absolutely crushed it this weekend. And Sunday, yesterday, was the second most. So well done, everybody. Before we get into today's topic, I just want to go through a few quick things. Tonight, there's a neighborhood ice cream social for Oak Grove Andover in Andover at 5:30 p.m. Thank you, Leslie, and the whole team up there for organizing those. Tomorrow night, you can join the Crow Wing County DFL's primary election night watch party in Brainerd at 8 p.m. And then Wednesday, I'll be up in Clay County for the DFL Linkseth Working Families Picnic. That's going to be in Moorhead at 5 p.m. And then also Thursday, there's the Plymouth Area SD42 Picnic in Plymouth at 5 p.m. and the Watonwan County DFL Working Families Potluck Picnic in St. James at 5:30 p.m. Please take a minute today and go to dfl.org/primarygotv. We'll drop that link in the chat. Our coordinated campaign needs your help. Sign up for one more door knock shift if you can today or tomorrow. There's a job for everyone, and this last push we make together will really determine the outcome of the election. I expect it to be a close one. More on this at the end of today's call. All of these events and more can be found at dfl.org/events. Get out and bring someone new with you today if you can. All right, let's get into this week's message. I'm joined once again by Asha Carroll, our Senior Director of Communications Research and Data. Welcome back, Asha.
Good morning, Richard. Glad to be here. And we're going to kick things off this morning by dropping this week's message memo in the chat for you all so you can follow along. Please make sure to click in there, save this. I like to download it as a PDF and print it out. So I just have it as a guide as I'm going through my communications over the week. And this week's message is be a voter by August 11th. So when I say this week's message, I really mean today and tomorrow. And then once we hit through that primary night, we're going to kick it into a new gear for the general. So be a voter by August 11th. Note that there's some identity in that. It's not just I voted. It is be a voter. And that's really important when we want to get people to connect to that action. So make sure to pay special attention to these talking points. Make your voting plan today. Remind your friends and family and help make sure every DFL supporter casts a ballot. And here's why this matters. We've built a movement worth protecting. Volunteers have already knocked nearly 925,000 doors this year. That's the fresh new number. And that is 36% more. Actually, pardon me, it's more than 36% more than we'd knocked at the same point in 2024. I'm going to have to update my percent there after this weekend, like Richard said, record setting. But that's the number, 925,000 doors. And now we need to turn that momentum into votes. Primaries are decided by who shows up. Can't stress that enough. Put that out in your communications. They are decided by who shows up. Be one of the voters who represents the DFL this November. Your vote helps decide who carries our values into the general election. Richard, what else is important to get across this week at our events, on social media, and in conversations at the doors?
The most important thing we can do between now and 8 p.m. tomorrow night when polls close is talk to voters. Volunteer for one more shift, have one more conversation, and ask one more person to support the full DFL endorsed ticket. A strong turnout means stronger DFL ticket. Every vote, every conversation helps our endorsed candidates head into November with momentum.
Here's the bigger picture we need to keep driving home in these talking points right now. We have built too much to leave votes on the table. Every vote we earn protects the work that we've already done, and it brings us one step closer to victory. I'm going to say this one. This one is really what I'm thinking about momentum. Everything we've built over the past year leads to this moment right now. So vote, volunteer, bring one more voter with you, prove one more time what our movement can do.
That's right. Great. Let's move into the numbers behind this. Asha mentioned this. We have been door knocking like crazy all over the state of Minnesota, and all of our coordinated party committees are working hard to reach voters everywhere we can. Minnesotans' no results come from working hard, and right now it is now or never. Our volunteers, as of this morning, have knocked on 911,777 doors in the state of Minnesota, nearly 925,000. I think we'll cross that barrier later today. That's how much energy we have.
That's an incredible sign of momentum, and it is proof that our organizing, your organizing, I'm speaking to everybody here on the call today, is working. But it only matters if we turn it into votes. So we said this before. Primaries are decided by who shows up. So that's the thing that I really want folks to keep driving home. And every conversation and every door knock between now and tomorrow determines who carries the DFL ticket into November. That's the stakes here.
Which is exactly why the single most important thing anyone can do today is have one more conversation with a voter. Sign up for one more shift, and make sure your ballot is cast by 8 p.m. tomorrow night. All right, those are your talking points. Now we'll get into what's making news this week. The Star Tribune covered how our volunteer network keeps growing. Quote, volunteer network born during immigration crackdown becomes Democratic organizing force. That was the headline in the Star Tribune last week. Check it out. We'll drop a link in the chat. This is a powerful article that speaks to our community momentum throughout this year.
Axios picked up on that same story. They said Minnesota Democrats look to turn ICE Watch volunteers into GOTV force. That is real proof that our organizing, your organizing, is working. And it's exactly why we need to keep it going through tomorrow's critical election, right? That's a momentum we're bringing to tomorrow, and then we're going to bring it all the way to November.
And if you haven't already, you can check out our full slate of endorsed candidates. You can go to DFL endorsed slate of candidates at dfl.org/endorsed. We'll drop that link in the chat as well. Search and find your district.
And if you or anyone you're talking to has questions about how, where, or when to vote, I know those always come up at this time. NPR put together a great explainer, and we'll link this one too. It says the voting process answers to your voting and election questions in Minnesota. That's the name of the article. So you can keep an eye out for that in this chat right now. And share that with anyone who still is not sure about their plan. And of course, the best source of information is always on the Secretary of State's website. So if you go to iwillvote.com, you can get there with just a few simple clicks. It'll ask for your zip code and so forth.
All right, so no excuses. Every Minnesotan can find their plan to vote before tomorrow, and we can help them do so. Thank you for being here, Asha.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. All right. So now turning this week's message into action is the most important thing. Minnesotans know results come from hard work, and it's now or never. The most important thing we can do before 8 p.m. tomorrow is talk to more voters. So you can sign up for one more door knock shift or volunteer shift. Vote early today or on primary election day tomorrow, August 11th, and help carry our momentum all the way through November. You can sign up for one event or volunteer with our DFL endorsed candidates. We'll drop a link in the chat. This past weekend, our candidates and volunteers held a full slate of events across the state. Thank you to everyone who came out to Coon Rapids, to Shakopee, to St. Paul, to Burnsville, Minnetonka, Stillwater, Woodbury, Moorhead, everywhere. We were everywhere this weekend. I talked to some folks who are door knocking in New Ulm and St. James and Mankato, so it's all over the place. We had some incredible voices in the state and on the doors in support of our DFL endorsed candidates, including Julie Blaha and Senators Tina Smith, Chris Murphy, and Chris Van Hollen. There are still two more chances to join with our candidates today. Peggy Flanagan and Ilhan Omar are knocking doors today at 3 p.m. in Minneapolis, and Zach Filipovich is knocking doors today in Duluth at 5 p.m. And there are so many more options to knock doors near you at dfl.org/primarygotv. We'll drop that link in the chat as well. So that's it, folks. That's this week's message. Tomorrow's primary election day. Make sure you vote by 8 p.m. tomorrow night. Thanks, everybody. Happy Monday. Tomorrow is primary election day. Don't forget to vote. We have 85 days until the November 3rd midterm election. Let's go win this thing.